Oh, I tried that.
Yeah.
Basically what happened was I had found a calling card from one of the girls in my bedroom. And so I borrowed it, and I snuck down into the security area that they have there, and there's a payphone. And I wanted to call my friends because I missed them, and I hadn't been able to call them because I didn't want to talk to them around the ethics officer. I wanted privacy.
Uh-huh.
So in the middle of talking to one of them, ironically, the ethics officer randomly walks in through the security office and sees me. And when she saw me, I felt like I was going to die. She was so angry. She's like, "You need to hang up that phone right now." And so I said bye, and I hung up. And then she's like, "If you're well enough to walk down here and call people, you're well enough to go work in the kitchen." And I'm like, "But my foot, I still have crutches." And she's like, "No, you know the rules. You can't talk on the phone unless I give you permission." So she dragged me to the kitchen to work in schoolery, which is basically like cleaning hot dishes and sorting silverware. And me being on crutches, it was a bit hard because one, it's slippery, and two, my foot hurts. So she was very angry that I had gone off by myself, and whether or not she says that was punishment, I think it was.
Okay. And can you tell me about and that drove you to feel like you wanted to take your own life, or is this later on that you felt like you wanted to kill yourself?
That night, actually. I worked in the kitchen for an hour, and then I was like, screw this. So I told my in-charge who worked in there, I told him, I'm like, "Look, I don't care if you write me up, I don't care if I get in trouble, but I can't work here. I'm going to my room. I don't care." He's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to write you up." I'm like, "I don't care." So I just left, and I went up to my berthing, right?
Uh-huh.
And I remember I laid in bed for a little bit just to calm down, and then I just wanted to leave. So I remember like pacing back and forth in this room, which isn't very big because there's not a lot of room since there's all these beds. And I go to the window, and I remember I'm at the very top of this building. And I remember looking out this window, and I'm thinking, I could just jump right now because there's no way out. They'll track me down if I try to leave. I luckily got myself together to where I was not going to do that, and I'm luckily still here and talking to you.
I'm very pleased to hear that. There is one guy, Philip Gale, who jumped out of the 15th story window of the MIT on L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. That's just one case of somebody who has committed suicide, apparently. But maybe they were in a similar state to how you were feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure. You just feel so trapped because if you leave, they will send search parties out for you.
But they can't legally bring you back, can they? Or what would they do when they find you?
They can't legally bring you back, but what they will do is they will send someone that is like your best friend or a family member or someone that you're close to with the search party. And when they find you, they'll have your best friend, family member, or whatever, talk to you and try to get you back in. That's what they'll try to do.
Okay. So it seems to me like they really strongly play the card of emotional blackmail.
They do. Whether or not they say that, they do.
And can you also talk to me a bit about free game policy? Now, apparently Hubbard wrote this thing, but then he sort of wrote something that supposedly canceled it out, and the church says that they don't use any kind of policy for fair game anymore. Can you give me your opinion on whether that is true or not true or somewhat true?
Well, it is true that he wrote it, and then it is true that he wrote a policy saying that they no longer use that. But regardless of that, they still use it. They may not call it fair game, but they still use the policy, because I have been fair game before.
Can you give me some examples of that? that apparently happened to you.
Yes. Basically, I had spoken out. I won't say how because then people will know who I am. I got very famous in a way in the anonymous world, and my boyfriend, who is a Scientologist, and his family is a Scientologist, they found out, and basically my boyfriend hacked into my email and some other things all over the internet and found emails that I've been talking to people, sent it in to the church near us, and just basically had everything recorded, everything I'd ever said. I was under watch by him, I live with him. Let's see. I wasn't allowed to, he demanded that I delete everything I had ever said. All the emails, I couldn't talk to anybody critical, anyone that was considered an SP.
An SP, that's an SP, that is a term they use for a deserter, basically, called a suppressive person. Is that correct?
A suppressive person is somebody, not necessarily who deserts Scientology. It's somebody who is antisocial, someone who's very critical of others, critical of Scientology, somebody who basically does more evil actions than good.
And evil actions towards Scientology as far as they're concerned, is that right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You mean, when you use the term evil actions, you mean what Scientology considers to be evil actions, right?
Yes.
Okay. And also, I have another question. How do they feel towards homosexuals?
Well, actually, that one's interesting. They'll allow them, to come into the church, be part of the church. From my experience, I haven't really seen any abuse toward them. But their view on it is that they are, it's a choice that they make, that to be gay, lesbian, or bi, or whatever, and that they believe that that choice isn't pro-survival, which means, they can't make more life, like kids or whatever, and they believe that they are covertly hostile.
I see.
Yes.
Covertly hostile.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting term.
I think it's a bit silly, because I know plenty of gay people who definitely aren't that way.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I think I never agreed with that policy ever. So.
And there apparently have been quite a few other Scientologists who say that they don't agree with that policy either. Yeah, so that's an interesting point too. So they also have marriages in Scientology too, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And they do not. It says that they do not allow sex before marriage, or even say masturbation.
Yes, that's true. They discourage that.
Can you tell me why they discourage that?
I think it's just a moral thing. I actually don't know of any policy. I'm sure they have one, but I've never personally read it. I think it's just something that they like to keep enforced, as a church, good morals. I don't know.